Gosh, when did movies and comic books and everything get so political? Anyways, my favorite movies are like Watchmen and Star Wars.
He's right. He's right. So the point of that meme, obviously, is these things are political.
And always have been.
Always have been political. So it's hilarious, and Brandon caught this all the time as he worked in a comic book store. When did these kids' books delve into the politics of the world?
I mean, truthfully, like, even when James and I were talking about the original Superman movie with Christopher Reeves, like, that was at a time when they were goofy. They were sillier and things like that. But there's always been an underlying sense of politics and stuff from comic books, even if you break it down to just, like, good guys fighting bad guys. But, like, the X-Men as a very perfect example of when it came out in the 60s, about a group of people who are different from everybody else and basically being persecuted for it. Now, it also plays the time period that everybody was white and all the books and stuff like that. And Stan Lee was trying to make a point on people who look different and then using white people. But,
Well, sort of the irony of that, it did catch on.
yeah.
Until it was rebooted.
100%. But I mean, there's always been a sense of that to everything. And I just think people, it's kind of like, I guess, this would be a stretch here. It's like going to see a John Wick movie and expecting like a crazy storyline. You know what you're there for action. I just think people weren't as perceptive to what they were reading or what they were taking in all this time. And now being like, why are comics political? How come I'm seeing like a girl in this? How come it's like different religions and different races and stuff like that? But it's like comics have always existed as a outlet for things like that.
And that's what cracks me up about Star Wars when people say, when did it's become political? It's like, the very first movie is literally the rebels fighting the Empire.
They're fighting the government.
Yeah,
Which
literally.
is a breakdown of Nixon and later Reagan.
And they're like, yeah, but no, they're not fighting like White House. That's space politics.
It is a bunch of troopers dressed in white armored regalia.
Yep.
Could that be any more obvious? And then,
I mean, wasn't Vader's helmet based off of like a World War II during battle?
Yes.
helmet?
yes, very much so. It
But
was
it's not political, dude.
Yeah,
I mean,
what are you talking about?
I mean, if you look at Jack Kirby was a Jewish man who actually quit drawing comics, joined the army, and helped find, like, he hunted Nazis. He was an artist, and they sent him behind enemy lines to draw what the base looked like, so they would have an attack plan to go in there and do it. And he created Captain America as someone who could punch Hitler in the face every week because he wanted to punch Hitler in the face every
Can you imagine being that general and being like, all right, let's see what the plans look like. And then you have like this beautiful comic book layout
honestly-
of the building to like,
Man.
holy crap, that's
I
beautiful.
honestly wonder if there's like Jack Kirby artwork in like files somewhere that you just will never see the light of day. That's what I've said. Like, are you kidding me? that's off topic. That's off topic.
Yeah. But no, similarly, Superman, created by two Jewish fellows in Cleveland, Ohio. Woo! And one of the reasons why they created this alien is because they felt like aliens themselves growing up in Cleveland as two Jewish boys.
I forget which one it was. See, I think it was Jerry Siegel. If I am wrong, I don't come at me.
We are often wrong.
It is one of the creators of, I believe his father was gunned down and killed.
Oh, wow.
And that was the part of the inspiration behind creating a bulletproof man who can defeat everybody. Something else that's fun, he also went on to create the Spectre, the Spirit of Vengeance.
Exactly.
So that played into that as well. So it was like, you create somebody who can stop that from happening, and then you create somebody who was actually the reckoning of doing something like that, which I always thought was really cool. But
That's fascinating.
to say that like comic books aren't political, that's the whole reason most of these things get written.
Yeah. And that's what storytelling is.
Very much so. And to dive into the more obvious ones, like Watchmen and The Boys, I have seen people read, or in this case watch with The Boys, those comic book stories, and they're like, It's just superheroes, and they inherently miss the basic concept that it's like, no, this is an examination of what happens when you give people who are capable of destroying the planet with the snap of their fingers any semblance of power.
I will say that the show is far better than the comic. Like, the comic book was a shock factor thing.
For the boys, of course.
Yeah, but they've done a really good job of taking that kind of idea and turning it into something like that. But like, I feel like no matter what's the end of the day, whether it's a comic book, whatever, you're always watching some sort of good fighting bad, and that's essentially what politics is at some level. I mean, even if it's bad versus bad.
And then it goes to
Still
a
get, yeah.
they've expanded what a villain is. Instead of just being, this guy's bad, I said he's bad, and showing you him doing bad things, he's bad. No, the good guy's gonna fight him. To now, we're sort of giving a backstory on why a lot of these bad guys are bad.
I'm okay with that to an
necessarily
point, but we need to stop
bad.
sympathizing with villains because villains are still bad people. Like, I don't understand the appeal of the Joker that everybody is just
No,
like,
that's-
the Joker's
that's
so
way
cool,
different.
like he's a murderer.
Michael
There's
Caine
nothing
said it best.
anything about it.
Some people just want to watch the world burn.
That's who that character exists as. Stop thinking he's great.
But
I
like
just-
The Boys is a good example in that these heroes are bad. I mean, they do bad things.
You see
Not
some
all
of them. You see some of them
have some
building
redemption.
Yeah.
But they do bad things. Why? Well, now we see it's a corporation that is essentially
Done that to
controlling them. Yeah, and they were literally born that way. And they're being bred
Homelander.
that way.
Homelander
Yes,
is like the
exactly.
perfect example of that versus somebody like A-Train,
Yeah.
or the Deep, where they're they don't make great choices. They're not great people all the time, but you see them fighting with that like, man, I'm starting to feel weird about doing these kind of things.
As a little side note, when the Deep gets sentenced or sent to Geauga Lake, which is in Ohio, hilarious because there's literally nothing to do there, and that's where he ended up.
Oh my god. I mean, I feel you can pick anywhere in Ohio and see that there's nothing to do there.
All right, before we kill each other over Ohio, to flip it on its head, then you have stuff like Watchmen with the comedian. Anyways, you have stuff like with the comedian, John Osterman, Dr. Manhattan, Night Owl. This is what happens when you first let them have no restrictions. We see the comedian and Dr. Manhattan in Vietnam effectively massacring all of these troops, and it's unregulated and there's no rules. And there's this brilliant scene where the comedian shoots a woman and he's like, why didn't you stop me? To Dr. Manhattan. Dr. Manhattan's like, I don't care anymore. And it's this brilliant examination of what happens when you let something like the government have people, big business, to just have complete control over something. If you give these superpowered humans, big business, complete control, they won't care about another human life anymore and just do what they want to further themselves and make more money.
And that's what I love about The Watchmen. The comedian is one of my favorite characters. He is a horrible person.
Oh, absolutely.
He's a bad guy. Like they show throughout the movie and in the comic books, he does horrible, horrible things.
Oh no,
But
he's a
he gets it.
fucked up individual.
He knows what the world is, and he lives in this world, and that's to me, when they call him the comedian, I'm like, yeah, because he sees the whole world as a joke, and he gets it, and he lives in it, and there's nothing he can do about it, so he's going to do what he does.
Exactly. Called the man fools, dredged his pride.
Actually plays into Alan Moore, like, I don't know, at the time it was this mapped out or anything, and that might be playing on different things, but that was originally Peacemaker. And that's kind of where that character is in a much more now comedic way, thanks to the John Cena.
Now it's
Just to save America, like, but like, I like how that's still a callback to that as well. Like,
it is.
And
yeah.
the best way to put it is it began with Arthur Miller and McCarthyism. Go read The Crucible, it's a great play. And now we're here with George Lucas, Alan Moore, anybody who's ever written X.
And they burn all the witches.
Oh, okay. She's a witch!
It's a easy.
She turned me into
It's a super easy way to fix everything. Just call a witch.
So just burn everything.
Light them on fire.
Don't do that.
Comics have always been political. That's the reason they exist.
Of course, it's every comic book. If you can find that political sense, it's there.
You want to just yelling that guy online with the pronouns? Broda!
Wait a minute. So you mean when Kirby was...
He's like, I'm trying to immerse myself in this world, and I had to do a thing that people do in real life.
When Kirby created...
And Red Skull was a image of Hitler?
No.
And it was punching him in the
No.
face? And
He was a euphemism for communism?
The red
And fascism?
honestly, like,
Hydra?
Sarcasm. Of course, look at this.
Yeah, so always remember, when were comic books political again?
they always happen.
Yeah.